Alright, welcome. I've been getting a lot of questions about how the ranking system for online play works in Axis and Allies 1942 Online. I wasn't really sure myself, so I did a little bit of research, and I think I have enough information to explain the system pretty simply, and hopefully at the end of this video you have a good understanding of how the system works. The background for this video is not my online profile. That belongs to Black Tide. Black Tide is the number 1 or number 2 platinum ranked player with both sides, and I figured his background would make a much better visual than my gold 300 something. I also have to mention that I was not given access to any of the actual numbers used by the ranking system. So when I give examples and hypotheticals to illustrate how the system works, these are not numbers taken from the game. I'm using my best guess on the way the numbers work. So let's get into the ranking system. Traditional ranking systems, like most first-person shooters or similar games, simply reward players with points for getting wins, kills, achieving objectives, etc. The more points you get, the higher rank you achieve. That isn't very effective in determining the actual strength of the players involved. When designing the system for Axis and Allies 1942 Online, the developers came up with a variation of the ELO rating system. In case you haven't heard of it, the ELO rating system is named after this guy, Arpad ELO. You don't really have to know anything about Arpad, other than he was a math guy and a chess guy, and came up with a rating system to match chess players against one another while factoring in the relative strength of each player. This is his mathematical formula, which was used to calculate the change in each player's rating after each game they played. If you want to know more about the man or the formula, I'll throw some links in the description so you can check that out on your own. But for now, I'm just going to try to explain the system as simply as possible. So here goes. Every player is given 2 numerical ratings, one for the Axis side and one for the Allied side. These ratings represent the overall strength of the player, and at the beginning of every season, they reset to the same number. So every player at the start of every season is given the same numerical rating. The starting point for the new season is unaffected by anything achieved any prior season. The way ranks are determined is pretty simple. Every rank is simply a range of numbers, and wherever the player's rating number falls within one of those ranges determines the rank of the player. The way the player's rating number changes is pretty traditional. As the player plays games throughout the season, points are added to the player's rating number for every game they win, and subtracted from the player's rating number for every game they lose. Simply adding or subtracting points from a player's rating number doesn't account for differing strengths between players, so the system tries to account for different strengths of players by using something called a projected win percentage. When any 2 players are matched against each other, the player with the higher rating number is expected to win the game. This expectation is represented by a percentage, which is really just the likelihood that the player with the higher rating number will win the game. The projected win percentage is determined by looking at the difference in the 2 players' player rating numbers. The greater the difference between the 2 player ratings, the bigger the percentage, and the more likely it is that the higher rated player will win the game. The projected win percentage is important because that's what determines how many points are added or subtracted from each player's rating number upon completion of the game. If the player that is expected to win the game wins the game, they'll have fewer points added to their rating number, and the player that is expected to lose the game will have fewer points subtracted from their rating number. If, however, the lower rated player wins the game, they will have more points added to their rating number, and the player that was expected to win the game will have more points subtracted from their rating number. This is a lot of information to process in a short amount of time, but I promise you, the system will make a lot more sense when I start using examples with actual numbers. The first example takes place on day 1 of a new season, with Cobra matched against Snake Plissken. As I said before, at the start of the new season, all players are reset to the same player rating number. In this example, both players have an initial rating of 1500. To determine who is expected to win, the formula looks at the difference in the player ratings. Since these ratings are identical, the system calculates that each player has a projected 50% chance to win the game. Snake is consistently a high platinum level player, and unfortunately, if you've ever watched any of my videos, Cobra is not. The result of this game is not surprising, a win for Snake. Following the victory, Snake's player rating increases by 50 points, and Cobra's player rating decreases by the same amount. Snake's rating is now 1550, and Cobra's rating is 1450. On to example number 2. This time, we're a couple months into the season, and Cobra has clawed his way back into the gold rank with a player rating number of 2285. This game is against Fatty D2, a platinum ranked player with a player rating number of 2912. According to the formula, Fatty has a 97% chance to win the game. Because he's so heavily favored, when Fatty gets the win, his player rating only increases 3 points. On the positive side, Cobra only loses 3 points from his player rating. For the last example, our hero is matched against General Zod. Cobra is still ranked gold at a rating of 2282, and General Zod is a platinum ranked player at a rating of 2804. The formula predicts Cobra has only a 5% chance to win the game. Luckily, General Zod gets diced in C-Zone 7 and has 1 pint too many, setting up Germany's defense. Cobra gets the win, and his player rating goes up 95 points as a result. General Zod's rating goes down by the same amount. The player's rating number goes up and down as more games are played, and the player's rank moves with the rating number. So that's the basic overview of the system, but I need to mention a couple of things before I'm done. First, regarding matchmaking. The system attempts to match players with similar rating numbers. This starts even before all the placement games are finished. But remember, the game only has about 5,000 players worldwide who play ranked, and they're located all over the world in different time zones. If the system can't match players in close proximity of rating numbers, it will expand the search and match the player with another available online player. So it is possible to match with players above or below your current ranking. Also, I need to mention passive rank movement for a moment. Have you ever noticed that you can achieve a certain rank and then the next time you log on, your rank is dropped? How does that happen? You're already familiar with the player's rating number and how points are added or subtracted based on the outcomes of games and factoring in the relative strengths of the players. Remember that the player's rating number is only calculated when a game is concluded. But there are a couple of ways a player's rank can move without any change to the player's rating number. To explain this, we need to look at the rank in a little bit more detail. A player's rank has 2 parts, the tier and the position. The tier is one of the 5 levels in the ranking system: platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and wood. The position in the tier is shown by the rank number here, and represents where the player's rating number falls in order from largest to smallest. So in this screen here, Black Tide had the highest rating number in the platinum tier for the Allied side, and the second highest rating number in the platinum tier for the Axis side. The first way the player's rank can move without a rating number change is from tier size growth. There is no cap or limit to the number of players that can be in any of the tiers. So as more players achieve rating numbers that qualify for the tier, the number of positions within that tier gets larger. The number of players in any given tier can get larger or smaller as the season moves along. Here's an example. Early in the new season, only 200 players have earned a rating number between 2400 and 1801 to qualify for gold. Player A has a rating number of 1806, the lowest rating in gold, which equals gold rank 200. Players B and C have rating numbers of 1795 and 1788, which puts them in silver, rank 3 and 4. Before player A finishes their active game, player B and player C both win their games. Player B's rating number increases to 1860 with the win, and player C's rating increases to 1854. Both of these new rating numbers are in the gold range, so the gold tier expands from 200 to 202. Player A's rating number is still lower than player B's and player C's, so even though player A's rating number didn't go down, it's still the lowest in the tier. Without a rating change, player A's rank dropped to gold rank 202. Another way a player's rank can drop without a rating change is through volume and pace of play. Some players play way more games and play faster than others, which can really affect the rankings. Here's how that works. Player A is sitting on gold 100 at a rating of 2256 and currently has 1 active game going. Player B is rank 104 with a rating number of 2148 and has multiple active games. Player A only plays one turn every 24 hours, while Player B is blitzing and gets through multiple turns every day. It takes Player A about 12 days to finish a game, while Player B finishes 2 games a day. As a result, before Player A finishes their active game, Player B has finished 22 games and their rating number has gone up 200 points, moving them ahead of Player A. So Player A logs onto the system on day 11 and discovers his rank has dropped to Gold 101, even though his rating number hasn't changed. This illustration only used 2 players, Player A and Player B, just to demonstrate how the effect works. But remember, thousands of players are playing this game, so this effect will be multiplied if more players are playing more games and finishing faster than Player A. So the passive rank drop might be much more significant if that is the case. And finally, there is something called rating decay. Rating decay only applies to the platinum rank. Essentially, if a platinum ranked player stops playing games, their rating number will periodically lose a few rating points over time. The idea behind rating decay is to ensure a player can't stay in the top 10 if they quit playing once they get in. Platinum level players will decay out of the platinum rank after about 21 days of inactivity. So make sure to have active games going to maintain your ranking. And remember that each player has a rating for each side, which is unaffected by games played using the other side. The decay is side specific, which means if a player reaches platinum with Axis and then stays active playing only the allied side, that won't prevent the rating number on the Axis side from decaying. So that's it. That is my overview of how the ranking system works in Axis and Allies 1942 Online. I hope this video was helpful enough to provide a decent understanding of how the system works. So when you're playing ranked, you know what's going on with the system. A couple of final thoughts. I think the system's pretty good. I like how it actually takes relative strengths of players into account. So it doesn't penalize you too much for getting beat by higher rated players, and it doesn't reward you a lot for beating up on lower ranked players. And that's good. I do think that having the system reset every 6 months when the season ends is kind of redundant, especially since you have rank decay, which will take care of people who achieve platinum rank and then decide not to play anymore. So that's one drawback of the system. So what do you guys think? Is it a good system? Is there a better system that could be used for the game? Let me know your opinions in the comments. I always read those, and I'm always interested to hear what you guys have to say. But I can't get out of here without giving some shout outs to a few people that helped out with this video. Julius is one of the game developers, really pointed me out in the right direction, where to find the information for this video, and answered all my subsequent questions as I started doing my research. So I appreciate all of his help. Black Tide, as I mentioned before, provided the background screen for this video, so you didn't have to look at the crappy gold ranking screen of mine. He is a very high level player, has his own YouTube channel, and often goes to the DZMC gaming channel for the Friday Night Blitz. I'll put links in the description to both of those channels so you can check them out. And of course to the fellas, Snake, Fatty, and General Zod, excellent players, always willing to give information and help somebody out, and I appreciate them letting me use their likeness for the examples in this video. And to all of you, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you back for another video.